So this is actually from May. We keep hearing that the latest bird flu can infect a surprising variety of animals, including cows, seals, and dolphins. In the past, you've said that it's difficult for viruses to jump species. Do you think this is a natural bird flu variant or another example of gain-of-function research? It's a great question. Let's up at the top here.
All right. A couple things. One, there are strong indications that this is a leak. Look into Peter McCullough and his colleagues' work on this question. Two, be careful to distinguish, as Heather pointed out when we discussed this a live stream or two ago, how exactly do we know that it's infecting these creatures? How good is that work? Because this could be boogeyman scare tactic shit, or it could be real.
There are a lot of viruses in the world that are fellow travelers, and so if we decide that one is the one to be scared of, if they decide that one is to be the one to be scared of, it would be useful to them if it was relatively common. And so if it is out there broadly, but hasn't actually been demonstrated to be the agent causing the disease, then having those two things separate means the story is not what it appears, and basically, we have to be responding totally differently to everything that they are suggesting.
Yep. So be cautious about what the facts that you are being told actually are, right? Mm-hmm. Could be cycle threshold shenanigans, could be fellow travelers that have nothing to do with the sickness of the organism and are always there. Who knows? Mm-hmm. We don't know until we know exactly what was done, and even then we don't know that it was actually done. Yeah. But more to the point, one, there's a reason that bird flus are a thing. That bird flus are a thing as far as we humans are concerned. And that is because birds make good vectors. Birds fly. And so viruses can't fly. And so viruses hitch rides on birds. And so what we have are flus.
But that explains the geographical distribution, not the biological distribution.
But they're linked, because to the extent that what you have is a virus whose ancient life cycle involves hopping off a bird and onto something else, the more specific the something else it has to hop onto, the less likely it is to work.
Yep.
So one thing is true is that bird flus are an exception to the rule about leaping species. Why? Because leaping species is what they do. They're using birds to get between species. So leaping species is their niche. Second,
I had not put that together. That makes a lot of sense. That to the degree that we are accurate in describing a suite of viruses as bird viruses, bird flu, we should expect those things that are most at home in birds to be more generalist in their ability to infect a wide variety of other species.
Right.
Yep.
Second point, the sons of bitches, a lot of bitches, mostly sons, who are enhancing these viruses. Mm-hmm. This is an argument from back in the lab leak days, are inadvertently and maybe intentionally increasing the tropism of the viruses they are playing with. Because what they're doing... Increasing
the tropism.
Yes, and they are broadening...
Tropism means different things in different branches of biology. What do you mean by increasing the tropism?
They are broadening the range of things, whether that is the range of tissues or the range of species that the viruses can infect. Because what they are doing is they are using techniques in the lab that are not the host environment. So the point is, okay, you've got a thing adapted to the host environment, and now you're putting it in a lab environment. Already you're asking it to broaden its range. Mm-hmm. Now in the lab environment, you're going to put it through ferrets. Well, ferrets aren't birds and they're not people. And so you're asking to broaden again. Okay, you're going to broaden into mustelids. Mm-hmm. Then you're going to passage it through humanized mice. Okay. Now you've got murine rodents. So the point is you are broadening the tropism, whether you like it or not. And maybe they do like it because their point is to make the thing a new, highly...
Well, they have all the information necessary to know that they're doing it. So if they claim not to like it, they're assholes or liars or both, and actually we already know they're both. So
Yeah.
why am I surprised?
So, in any case, to the extent that there is that these things are being supposedly widely found across many different species, I think that's an indirect kind of evidence about laboratory cultivation, and that bird flus would be particularly amenable to this because they're jumping species by nature. But the key thing is there are two steps. They come in an order, right? One step is, can you infect a creature from a different species? That's a hard job, but presumably it happens with some regularity. Some creature gets sick with something from a species that it isn't. Then, in the space of whatever period of time that virus is going to live in that new host, can it figure out how to get to another individual of that same species? That is a nearly impossible task.
Right.
Okay. These assholes are increasing the chances by increasing the tropism of viruses, but it is a Herculean lift with respect to evolution, much harder than the first jump of, can you kind of infect in some way some creature from another species? Hey, I got into this new creature, but I'm in the wrong tissue to get out. Right? That's going to be almost always the case.
Right.
So you may infect, you might even kill, but you don't create a new pandemic.
But I mean, it's viruses have got to be inherently R selected, and it's got to be like grass, right? Like they are producing. It's not going to be the same language for the parts, but grass and gymnosperms, fir and pine and cedar trees and such produce a huge amount of pollen, and then also relatively large amount of seeds, but really it's at the pollen stage, and the vast majority of that amounts to nothing.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter because some of it sticks, and that's what matters.
Right. Now, well, some of it sticks, and that's what matters, but from the perspective...
And some of it sticks and can spread, and that's what actually matters.
Right. And I can't remember exactly what we discovered when you dug into the literature on all of the creatures that had been made sick by this bird flu. But it wasn't jumping between individuals in those species. So...
Right. No, that's right. It was cases in zoos.
Yep.
That's right.
Or that was the implication.
That was the implication. Yeah, it was hard to tell for sure because...
Yeah, it could be, when a marine mammal dies, very often it gets necropsied by people who specialize on that. So, something washes up on a...
Yeah, so there was no evidence, but there was also no reason to expect that it had been jumping between individuals, conspecifics, between individuals of the same species.
Right.
That's right.
Now, the last point I would make is, to the extent that you broaden the tropism of a virus, you are going to borrow from other aspects. You are likely to weaken it.
The virus.
Yeah. So from the point of view of this programmed freakout, this programmed freakout is running afoul of evolutionary expectations across multiple domains. Now, the one thing that goes in the other direction is these people who are doing this crazy stuff, they're weapons makers. So they are trying to create pathogens that are highly virulent, meaning destructive. They are trying to make pathogens that invade people. Yeah. Right? Because people are the thing that I can't say that they wouldn't try to destroy somebody's food supply in an indirect way to get to people. But in general, the idea of a weapon is that it infects people, and that maybe you can separate two populations. You can inoculate one and leave the other one vulnerable and then release something. So anyway, yes, you would have to be a diabolical madman to take up such a profession, but there are apparently a certain number of diabolical madmen who are willing to do it, and they are invariably the sons of bitches. So we should contact their mothers and scold them. But
great. Blame the moms. Fantastic.
No, look, we should imprison the people who are doing it, and we should scold their mothers. I think that's proportional.
I think it's the dad's fault.
Wow. Yeah, that's probably true.